Dr. Maya Collins stood at the observation deck of the research vessel, Horizon's Edge, and watched the planet Sarian 7 grow larger on the screen before her. The planet looked peaceful from space with its blue oceans and green continents, but Maya knew better. Down there lived the most dangerous creature in the known galaxy. The Vorthok had killed more researchers than any other alien species combined. Every attempt to study or capture one had ended in disaster. The Zephyrians lost an entire scientific team 20 years ago. The Kalthari sent their best warriors, and none returned. Even the mighty Drakmor Empire declared the creatures impossible to approach. Maya adjusted her research equipment and checked her notes again. She had spent 3 years preparing for this mission. Every piece of data about the Vorthok was stored in her tablet. Height, 12 feet. Weight approximately 800 pounds. Razor-sharp claws that could cut through steel. Telepathic abilities that could sense thoughts from miles away. Intelligence level unknown but estimated to be extremely high. Captain Jake Morrison walked up behind her and placed a hand on her shoulder. His face showed concern and doubt about their mission. Jake had been against this expedition from the start, but the Human Space Command insisted they try. "Maya, we still have time to turn back," he said quietly. "No one would blame us for avoiding this planet. Even our alien allies think we are crazy for attempting this." Maya shook her head and smiled at the captain. She had come too far to give up now. Her entire career had led to this moment. If humans could succeed where every other species had failed, it would change everything about how the galaxy viewed them. "I know the risks, Jake, but someone has to try. The Vorthok might be the key to understanding predator intelligence across the galaxy. We cannot let fear stop us from learning." The ship descended through the atmosphere and landed in a clearing, several miles from the known Vorthok territory. The landing team consisted of Maya and 5 other crew members. Security Chief Ben Carter carried the heaviest weapons available. Engineer Lisa Park brought defensive equipment. Communications Officer Alex Turner set up the long-range transmitters. Medical Officer Kate Lewis prepared the emergency medical bay. Psychology Specialist Neil Brooks carried recording equipment to document everything. They established their research base quickly and efficiently. The prefabricated buildings went up in less than 6 hours. Energy shields surrounded the perimeter. Motion sensors covered every approach. Automated defense turrets tracked any movement larger than a small animal. Ben Carter checked the weapons systems 3 times and still looked nervous. He had read every report about Vorthok attacks. The creatures moved faster than most vehicles. Their claws could penetrate any known armor. Their telepathic abilities let them predict enemy movements before they happened. Maya spent the first 2 days setting up her research equipment and reviewing the data again. She studied video recordings of previous encounters. Every alien species had approached the Vorthok the same way. They brought large groups of armed soldiers. They used heavy weapons and military tactics. They treated the creatures as monsters to be captured or destroyed. Maya planned a different approach. She would go alone and unarmed. She would try to communicate rather than dominate. She would show respect instead of fear. Other species called her plan suicidal, but Maya believed it might work. On the 3rd morning, the motion sensors began alerting. Something large was moving through the forest toward their base. Ben Carter activated all defensive systems and ordered everyone to emergency positions. The turrets turned toward the approaching movement and charged their weapons. Maya watched the sensor readings and felt her heart beating faster. The target was moving in a straight line toward them without any attempt at stealth. It was bigger than the reports indicated and moving faster than should be possible for something that size. The creature burst from the tree line like a force of nature. The Vorthok stood 12 feet tall on powerful legs that ended in claws, the size of swords. Its body was covered in scales that shifted from gray to blue as it moved. Amber eyes glowed with intelligence and something that looked like anger. The automated defenses opened fire immediately. Energy beams struck the creature, but barely slowed it down. The Vorthok leaped over the defensive barriers with impossible grace. Its claws tore through the outer wall of the main building like paper. Ben, Carter and his security team fired their weapons, but the creature ignored them completely. It moved with purpose toward the research lab where Maya was working. 2 security personnel tried to block its path, and the Vorthok struck them down without pausing. Maya heard the sounds of battle getting closer. She could have run to the emergency bunker, but something kept her in place. This was the moment she had prepared for. Everything depended on what happened next. The Vorthok crashed through the lab door and filled the doorway with its massive form. Its amber eyes locked onto Maya, and she felt the weight of its intelligence pressing against her mind. The creature could have killed her instantly, but instead it stopped and studied her. Maya forced herself to remain calm and looked directly into those alien eyes. She could feel the telepathic probe touching her thoughts, but instead of fighting it, she opened her mind. She projected feelings of curiosity and respect, instead of fear and hostility. The Vorthok tilted its massive head and took a single step forward. Maya could smell its alien scent and feel the heat from its body. Every instinct told her to run, but she stayed perfectly still. She had spent years preparing for this moment and would not waste it. Behind the creature, she could hear Ben Carter shouting orders and weapons charging. The Vorthok heard them too, and its muscles tensed for combat. Maya realized that any aggressive action from her team would destroy this opportunity forever. "Stand down," she called out, without taking her eyes off the creature. "Everyone lower your weapons and back away slowly. Do not make any sudden movements." Ben Carter protested, but Maya cut him off. She was the mission leader, and this was her call to make. The Vorthok watched the humans retreat, and its posture relaxed slightly. Its attention returned to Maya, and she felt the telepathic connection strengthen. Maya slowly raised her hand and extended it toward the creature. Every alien report said that touching a Vorthok meant certain death. The creatures supposedly attacked anything that came within reach of their claws. But Maya had noticed something in the old recordings that others had missed. The Vorthok had always been approached by groups of armed aliens who showed fear and aggression. Maya was alone and unarmed and projecting only curiosity and respect. She was gambling her life that this difference would matter. The creature looked at her extended hand for several long seconds. Maya could hear her own heartbeat and feel sweat running down her back. Time seemed frozen as the most dangerous predator in the galaxy decided whether to kill her or trust her. Then, slowly, carefully, the Vorthok extended one massive claw and gently touched her palm. The touch lasted only a moment, but Maya felt something change between them. The Vorthok claw was surprisingly warm and smooth. She had expected rough scales, but found skin that felt almost soft. The creature pulled back its hand and made a low, rumbling sound that seemed almost like purring. Maya kept her eyes locked on the amber gaze of the Vorthok and slowly moved her hand closer again. This time the creature did not pull away. It allowed her to place her palm against the side of its massive head. The scales there were smaller and softer than those on its body. From behind her, Maya could hear the shocked whispers of her team. Ben Carter was speaking rapidly into his communicator, reporting the impossible scene to Captain Morrison. Dr. Neil Brooks was recording everything with trembling hands. No one could believe what they were seeing. The Vorthok closed its eyes and leaned slightly into Maya's touch. The low rumbling sound grew louder and more rhythmic. Maya realized the creature was actually enjoying the contact. She began moving her hand in slow, gentle circles, and the rumbling increased. After several minutes, the Vorthok opened its eyes and stepped back. It looked around the damaged lab and then back at Maya. She got the impression it was trying to communicate something. The telepathic connection was still there, but weaker now, as if the creature was being careful not to overwhelm her mind. Maya pointed to herself and said her name slowly. Maya. The Vorthok tilted its head and made a series of clicking sounds. Maya repeated her name and pointed to herself again. The creature watched carefully and then made a different sound that almost sounded like her name. Encouraged by this response, Maya pointed to the creature and made a questioning sound. The Vorthok understood and made a complex series of clicks and rumbles. Maya could not reproduce the sounds, but she needed something to call the creature, looking at its gray-blue scales that shifted color. Like storm clouds, Maya pointed to the creature and said storm. The Vorthok repeated the clicking sound it had made before, and Maya said storm again. After a few repetitions, the creature made a sound that was close to the word storm. Dr. Brooks stepped carefully into the lab and cleared his throat. Maya, the entire scientific community needs to see this. We should set up proper recording equipment and document everything. The Vorthok immediately turned toward Brooks and its posture shifted to defensive. Maya felt the change in the telepathic connection as the creature prepared to attack. She quickly moved between them and held up her hand. It is okay, Storm. He is a friend. Maya projected calm thoughts and gestured for Brooks to back away slowly. The Vorthok watched him retreat, but remained tense until he was out of sight. Over the next few hours, Maya learned that Storm was extremely protective of her. When other team members approached, the creature would position itself between them and Maya. It never attacked but made it clear that it considered itself her guardian. Engineer Lisa Park brought repair equipment to fix the lab door that Storm had destroyed. The Vorthok watched her work with obvious interest. When Lisa struggled with a heavy beam, Storm stepped forward and carefully lifted it into place with one claw. Lisa stared at the creature in amazement. She had been terrified when it first appeared, but now found herself fascinated by its intelligence. Storm seemed to understand that she was helping Maya and allowed her to work without interference. Communications Officer Alex Turner established contact with the ship and reported their status. Captain Morrison wanted to evacuate the team immediately, but Maya convinced him to give her more time. She was making unprecedented progress and needed to continue the research. Storm began following Maya around the base like an enormous pet. When she went to the communications room, Storm followed. When she visited the medical bay, Storm came along. The creature never let her get more than a few feet away. Medical Officer Kate Lewis was nervous about examining the creature, but Storm allowed her to take basic measurements. She discovered that Storm was actually larger than previous reports indicated. It stood 13 feet tall and weighed over 900 pounds. Its claws were retractable like those of a cat, but much larger and sharper. Maya found that Storm responded well to verbal praise and gentle touch. When the creature helped with tasks, Maya would pat its head and say good job. Storm would rumble with pleasure and seem eager to help more. The most remarkable discovery was Storm intelligence. Maya began showing the creature simple puzzles and problems. Storm solved them faster than most humans could. It demonstrated understanding of cause and effect, spatial relationships, and even basic mathematics. When Maya showed Storm a picture of geometric shapes, the creature arranged physical objects to match the pattern. When she demonstrated how to operate a simple mechanical device, Storm mastered it on the first try. The level of intelligence was far beyond what anyone had imagined. Dr. Brooks documented everything and transmitted reports back to Earth. The response from the scientific community was skeptical at first. Many experts refused to believe that a human had succeeded where every other species had failed. As word spread throughout the galaxy, the reaction was explosive. Alien governments demanded explanations. How had humans accomplished the impossible? What secret technology were they using? Some accused humans of lying about their methods. The Zephyrian embassy sent an urgent message demanding proof. They had lost 12 researchers to Vortex and could not accept that a lone human had tamed one through simple contact. The Kalthari Science Council requested detailed scans of both Maya and Storm looking for evidence of technological enhancement. Storm seemed to sense the tension from the communications and became more protective of Maya. When alien voices came through the speakers, Storm would position itself between Maya and the sound. The creature somehow understood that these voices represented a threat. On the 5th day, Storm did something that shocked everyone. Maya was working late in the lab when she accidentally knocked over a container of research samples. As she bent to clean up the mess, Storm carefully picked up each sample with the tip of one claw and placed them back on the table. The precision required to handle delicate equipment with claws the size of swords was incredible. Storm had to be extremely careful not to damage anything. The fact that it chose to help rather than ignore the situation showed remarkable empathy and understanding. Maya realized that Storm was not just intelligent but emotionally sophisticated. The creature cared about her well-being and wanted to help her succeed. It was forming a genuine bond with her that went beyond simple cooperation. When Captain Morrison finally visited the base, he could hardly believe what he saw. Storm greeted him with curious but non-aggressive behavior. The creature allowed him to approach Maya, but watched him carefully the entire time. "Jake, we have made the greatest discovery in human history," Maya told him. "Storm is not just intelligent, it is capable of friendship and loyalty. We have found a way to communicate with one of the most dangerous predators in the galaxy." Captain Morrison watched. Storm helped Maya organize her equipment and shook his head in amazement. The implications were staggering. If humans could bond with creatures that no other species could approach, it would change everything about their place in the galaxy. But first they had to convince the rest of the galaxy that what they had accomplished was real. The news of Maya's success spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within days, every major alien government was demanding answers. The impossible had happened, and no one could explain how a single human had tamed the most feared predator. In known space. Ambassador Kelthera of the Empire sent an angry message to Earth, demanding immediate access to both Maya and Storm. The Zephyrians had lost their best scientists too. Vorthok attacks and refused to believe that humans had succeeded through simple contact alone. Dr. Maya Collins must be using illegal neural enhancement technology, the ambassador declared during an emergency session of the Galactic Council. No natural being could achieve telepathic communication with a Vorthok. The humans are hiding their methods from us. The Kelthari Science Collective was equally skeptical. Their most advanced researchers had spent decades studying Vorthok behavior patterns. Every model and prediction indicated that the creatures were completely hostile to all sentient life. The human success violated everything they understood about predator psychology. High researcher Vexer demanded that Maya submit to complete biological scanning. "We must determine what modifications have been made to her neural pathways. This achievement is scientifically impossible without technological enhancement." Even species that were normally friendly to humans began expressing doubt. The Federation had always supported human research efforts, but now questioned whether humans were being honest about their capabilities. Admiral Frank Hayes received increasingly aggressive demands from alien governments. They wanted Maya and Storm brought to their home worlds for study. Some suggested that the creature should be destroyed as a threat to galactic security. Others insisted that humans were planning to weaponize the Vortex. On Zarian 7, Maya continued her research while Storm grew more protective each day. The creature seemed to sense the hostility from the alien communications and positioned itself between Maya and any perceived threat. When alien voices spoke through the communicators, Storm would growl low and dangerous. Dr. Tony Silva arrived with additional research equipment and was amazed by what he found. Storm not only tolerated human presence but actively helped with their work. The creature carried heavy equipment, moved obstacles, and even operated simple machinery under Maya guidance. Tony discovered something important while reviewing planetary records. Humans were the first carbon-based life forms to encounter All previous contact had been made by silicon-based species, like the Zephyrians, or energy-based beings like the Kelthari. Maya, this could explain everything, Tony said excitedly. The vortex might be specifically hostile to non-carbon life forms. Our biology might be the key to communication. The theory made sense, but proving it would be difficult. No other carbon-based species in the galaxy had ever attempted to study vortex. Most were too afraid to even visit planets where the creatures lived. Storm continued to demonstrate remarkable intelligence and problem-solving abilities. When Maya showed the creature how to operate the research computers, Storm learned to input simple commands. The creature could navigate basic menus and even save data files. Dr. Neil Brooks was fascinated by Storm's emotional development. The creature clearly cared about Maya's welfare and showed what appeared to be affection and loyalty. When Maya worked late, Storm would bring her food and water. When she seemed tired, Storm would gently nudge her toward the sleeping quarters. The bond between them grew stronger each day, but the galactic response grew more hostile. 3 Zephyrian warships arrived in the system and demanded permission to land. Their commander, General Zek, was a veteran of multiple Vorthok encounters and had lost many soldiers to the creatures. Humans are playing with forces they do not understand. General Zek declared, "These creatures are weapons of mass destruction. They cannot be controlled or tamed. This human female will be killed, and then the beast will return to its natural behavior." Captain Morrison refused to allow armed alien forces on the planet's surface. The situation was becoming dangerous as more alien ships arrived daily. Some came to study the phenomenon, while others came to destroy what they saw as a threat. Storm sensed the increasing tension and became more agitated. The creature paced around the base perimeter and made threatening sounds when alien shuttles flew overhead. Maya spent hours calming Storm and explaining that the aliens were not immediate threats. The Galactic Council scheduled an emergency session to address the situation. Representatives from 12 major species would vote on whether to allow humans to continue their research or forcibly remove Maya and Storm for galactic security. Dr. Lisa Park worked frantically to strengthen the base defenses while Alex Turner monitored alien communications. The conversations they intercepted were increasingly hostile. Several species were planning joint military action if the humans refused to surrender Storm. Maya knew that their time was running out. Soon they would face an ultimatum from the galactic community. She had to prove that her bond with Storm was real and beneficial, rather than dangerous. She began recording detailed documentation of Storm behavior and abilities. The creature demonstrated mathematical reasoning by solving complex puzzles. It showed emotional intelligence by comforting team members who seemed distressed. Most importantly, it showed perfect control over its violent capabilities. When Ben Carter accidentally cut himself while repairing equipment, Storm immediately brought medical supplies. The creature could have easily killed the injured human, but instead chose to help. This behavior was completely contrary to every previous Vorthok encounter. Maya also discovered that Storm had been learning human language faster than anyone realized. The creature could understand complex sentences and follow detailed instructions. It was beginning to communicate using simple words, combined with its natural clicking sounds. "Storm helped Maya," the creature said one day, when she was struggling with heavy research equipment. The words were barely recognizable, but the meaning was clear. Storm was not just learning to communicate, but was developing genuine concern for Maya's well-being. The breakthrough came when Storm solved a problem that had puzzled human engineers for days. A malfunction in the power generator was causing system failures throughout the base. Storm studied the machinery carefully, and then used its claws to make precise adjustments that restored full power. The precision required was incredible. One wrong move could have destroyed the entire power system and left them stranded. But Storm understood exactly what needed to be done and executed the repairs perfectly. Dr. Silva realized that Storm's technical abilities were beyond what they had imagined. The creature could understand complex mechanical systems and make repairs that required both intelligence and incredible dexterity. Maya, we are not just dealing with a tamed predator, she told the team. Storm is a partner. It has capabilities that could revolutionize our understanding of both engineering and biology. But convincing the galaxy would require more than documentation and testimony. The alien governments wanted proof that could not be faked or explained away. They were demanding that Maya and Storm submit to controlled testing under galactic supervision. The ultimatum finally arrived through official diplomatic channels. Maya and Storm had 7 days to report to Nexus Prime Station for comprehensive evaluation. Refusal would result in military intervention and the forcible capture of both human and Vorthok. Maya looked at Storm and saw intelligence and trust in those amber eyes. The creature had chosen to bond with her, despite every instinct that should have made it hostile. Now they would have to prove to an entire galaxy that friendship was possible between the most unlikely species. The future of human-alien relations might depend on what happened in the next 7 days. Nexus Prime Station was the largest neutral facility in the galaxy. Representatives from 12 different species had gathered to witness the testing of Maya and Storm. The station bristled with security, forces, and scientific equipment. Everyone wanted to see if the impossible bond between human and Vorthok was real. Maya stood beside Storm in the docking bay and felt the weight of thousands of alien eyes watching them. The creature stayed close to her side, but she could sense its nervousness. Storm had never been around so many different alien species before, and the overwhelming scents and sounds were making it agitated. Captain Jake Morrison led their escort through the station corridors. Ben Carter and Dr. Neil Brooks stayed close to Maya, while security teams from multiple species formed a protective perimeter around Storm. The Vorthok towered over everyone but moved with careful control. The testing facility was a massive complex, designed specifically for dangerous creature research. Energy barriers could contain any known life form, and recording equipment captured every movement and sound. Dr. Yilmara of the Kalthari Science Collective supervised the preparations, while representatives from other species observed. From protected viewing areas, Maya could see the fear in the alien faces watching them. These beings had lost friends and colleagues to Vorthok attacks. To them, Storm represented pure destruction and death. The fact that the creature was calmly following Maya through their station defied everything they believed possible. General Zek of the Zephyrian military stood with arms crossed and expression skeptical. He had fought Vorthax in 3 different campaigns and bore scars from their claws. In his experience, the creatures were mindless killers that attacked anything within reach. Dr. Vexer activated the first test protocol. Maya and Storm were separated into different chambers connected by a complex maze. Maya would guide Storm through the maze using only verbal communication, while alien observers monitored both subjects for any sign of technological enhancement. Storm initially panicked when separated from Maya. The creature paced around its chamber and made distressed sounds. Maya could hear the anxiety in Storm vocalizations and spoke calmly through the communication system. "It is okay, Storm. I am here. Follow my voice and come find me." The Vorthok stopped pacing and listened carefully. Maya began giving directional instructions, and Storm moved through the maze with growing confidence. The creature navigated complex turns and obstacles while following Maya verbal guidance perfectly. Left turn, Storm. Now straight ahead. Stop at the red barrier. Storm obeyed each instruction precisely. When it reached decision points, the creature would pause and wait for Maya guidance. The level of trust and communication was unlike anything the alien observers had ever seen. Dr. Yilmara checked her instruments repeatedly, looking for evidence of hidden technology. The scanners detected no artificial neural enhancement in either Maya or Storm. The communication appeared to be completely natural, despite being theoretically impossible. The second test was more complex. Storm had to solve mechanical puzzles, while Maya provided encouragement from a separate room. The puzzles required both intelligence and fine motor control that should have been beyond any predator species. Maya watched through the viewing screen as Storm carefully manipulated delicate mechanisms with its massive claws. The creature worked slowly and methodically, never making mistakes that would damage the equipment. When it completed each puzzle, Storm would look toward the camera and make a questioning sound. "Good job," Storm, Maya said through the communicator. "You are doing perfectly. Try the next puzzle." The alien observers whispered among themselves in amazement. Vortex were supposed to destroy everything they touched, but Storm was handling delicate equipment with surgical precision. The creature was demonstrating intelligence that rivaled most sentient species. Ambassador Kalthora demanded additional scans of both subjects. She was convinced that humans must be using some form of undetectable technology to control the Vorthok. The idea that natural communication was possible challenged everything the Zephyrians understood about predator behavior. Dr. Silva provided detailed biological data about human and Vorthok physiology. The carbon-based nature of both species might explain their compatibility, but the mechanism of telepathic communication remained mysterious. No technology existed that could replicate what they were observing. The third test was designed to measure Storm emotional attachment to Maya. The creature was placed in a simulated emergency situation where holographic projections appeared to threaten Maya's safety. The alien observers expected Storm to go into an uncontrollable rage that would prove the creature was still fundamentally dangerous. Instead, Storm's response was calculated and precise. The creature immediately positioned itself between the holograms and Maya, but did not attack until the projections made clearly aggressive moves. Even then, Storm used only the minimum force necessary to neutralize the perceived threats. When the test ended, Storm immediately moved to Maya and gently nuzzled her with its massive head. The creature was clearly concerned about her well-being, but showed perfect emotional control. There was no mindless violence or loss of rational thought. General Zek stared at the recordings in disbelief. Every Vorthok he had encountered became a killing machine when threatened. They attacked everything in sight until they were destroyed or escaped. Storm behavior was completely contrary to his experience. The final test was the most dramatic. Maya and Storm were separated by several levels of the station, and emergency alarms were activated. The alien observers wanted to see if Storm would revert to destructive behavior when stressed and unable to locate Maya. Storm became increasingly agitated as the alarms continued, but its response was logical rather than violent. The creature began systematically searching for Maya, moving through the station with obvious purpose. When it encountered locked doors, Storm solved the access puzzles rather than destroying the barriers. Security teams followed. Storm progressed through the station corridors. The creature ignored armed guards and other potential threats, focusing entirely on finding Maya. When it reached areas where her scent was stronger, Storm moved faster, but remained in complete control. Maya could hear Storm approaching through the station communication system. The creature was making soft calling sounds that she recognized as attempts to locate her. She began responding with similar vocalizations, and Storm immediately changed direction toward her voice. When they were finally reunited, Storm's entire demeanor changed. The creature relaxed completely and rubbed against Maya with obvious relief and affection. The bond between them was undeniable and clearly mutual. Dr. Yilmara compiled the test results while representatives from each species argued about their implications. Every measurement confirmed that Maya and Storm shared a genuine telepathic connection without any technological enhancement. The communication was natural, even if it defied current scientific understanding. High researcher Vexer admitted that the results were unprecedented. We have observed abilities that should not exist according to our models of predator psychology. The human has achieved something that our greatest minds declared impossible, but many aliens still refused to accept what they had witnessed. The Drakmor Emperor demanded that Storm be destroyed as a threat to galactic security. Several other species supported immediate termination of both the creature and the research program. Maya stood before the assembled representatives with Storm beside her. The creature remained calm, despite being surrounded by potential enemies. It trusted Maya completely, and would follow her lead, regardless of the danger. The galaxy was about to vote on their fate. Everything Maya had worked for, and everything Storm represented, hung in the balance. The next few hours would determine whether their bond would be celebrated as a breakthrough or destroyed as a threat. Storm gently touched Maya's shoulder with one claw and made a soft questioning sound. The creature was asking if they were safe. Maya looked into those intelligent amber eyes and projected confidence and determination. "We will be okay, Storm," she whispered. "Together we will show them that friendship is possible between any species willing to try." The vote was about to begin. The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the test results were presented to the assembled representatives. Dr. Yilmara stood at the central podium, with data streams flowing across the massive display screens. Every measurement confirmed what seemed impossible just days before. The human Maya Collins and the Vorthok designated Storm have demonstrated genuine interspecies communication and cooperation, Dr. Yilmara announced. All scans confirm no technological enhancement or neural modification. The bond appears to be completely natural. Ambassador Kelthora rose from her seat with obvious frustration. The Zephyrian Empire still demands explanation. Our scientists lost their lives to these creatures. How can humans succeed where we have failed for decades? Maya stepped forward with Storm beside her. The massive creature remained calm, despite being surrounded by representatives of species that considered it a mortal enemy. Storm trusted Maya completely, and would follow her guidance in this critical moment. "Honored representatives," Maya began. "The difference is not in our technology or our intelligence. The difference is in our approach. Every previous contact with Vortex involved armed expeditions that projected fear and hostility. We offered friendship instead of force." General Zek interrupted with anger in his voice. "Friendship with a predator that has killed hundreds of our people. This is naive thinking that will lead to disaster. These creatures cannot be trusted," Storm responded to the hostile tone by shifting protectively in front of Maya. The creature did not attack or threaten, but made its defensive position clear. Several alien security forces reached for weapons, but Maya raised her hand for calm. "You see Storm protective behavior," she said, addressing the assembly. "This creature chooses to defend rather than attack. It shows restraint and intelligence that your own tests have confirmed. The capacity for violence exists, but so does the capacity for loyalty and friendship." Dr. Silva presented additional research findings that supported Maya arguments. Humans were indeed the first carbon-based species to attempt communication with Vortex. The biological compatibility might explain the unprecedented success. Furthermore, Dr. Silva continued, Storm has demonstrated mathematical abilities and problem-solving skills that exceed many recognized sentient species. We are not dealing with a simple predator, but with a highly intelligent being capable of complex thought and emotion. High researcher Vexer studied the data carefully before speaking. The evidence is undeniable, but the implications are staggering. If humans can communicate with creatures we consider impossible to approach, what else might they accomplish? Over the following days, more evidence emerged of human success with other difficult species. Commander Rich Taylor had established communication with crystalline entities that had been considered completely hostile. Dr. Carol Wright was making progress with the sentient gas clouds of the Helix Nebula. Each success reinforced a growing realization throughout the galaxy. Humans possessed unique abilities in interspecies relations that complemented their technological achievements. Their emotional intelligence and adaptability gave them advantages that more advanced species lacked. The vote on Maya and Storm fate became a vote on humanity's role in galactic affairs. Species that had previously dismissed humans as primitive began requesting their assistance with their own problematic creatures and hostile environments. Captain Morrison received communications from dozens of worlds, seeking human expertise. The Altarians needed help with the energy beings in their asteroid fields. The Drakmor wanted assistance with the crystal spiders that had infested their mining colonies. Storm became a celebrity throughout the galaxy as footage of the tests spread across communication networks. The sight of a Vorthok calmly following human instructions fascinated beings who had considered the creatures unstoppable forces of destruction. Maya established the Interspecies Companion Research Institute on Zarian 7, with Storm as both subject and partner. Researchers from across the galaxy came to study their methods and learn about human approaches to difficult species integration. Storm proved to be an excellent teacher and ambassador. The creature demonstrated its abilities to visiting scientists while remaining protective of Maya and the human team. Its intelligence impressed even the most skeptical observers. Dr. Brooks documented Storm's emotional development over the months following the tests. The creature showed clear affection for Maya and the other humans. It learned to recognize individual team members and responded differently to each person based on their personality and behavior. When visiting alien researchers, showed fear, Storm would move slowly and keep its distance. When they showed genuine interest, the creature would allow closer observation and even gentle contact. Storm's emotional intelligence rivaled that of most sentient species. The breakthrough came when Storm began communicating mathematical concepts that revolutionized galactic navigation. The creature's understanding of spatial relationships and dimensional physics exceeded current scientific knowledge. Storm insights led to new approaches for faster-than-light travel and more efficient energy systems. Maya found herself at the center of a new era in galactic cooperation. The Human Space Command established diplomatic positions specifically for interspecies companion specialists. Maya became the first ambassador for difficult species integration. Other humans began training in Maya methods and achieving their own successes. Dr. Lisa Park bonded with a massive aquatic predator on the ocean world of Thalassa. Engineer Pete Wilson established communication with the machine intelligences of the abandoned robot worlds. Each success demonstrated that human emotional intelligence was a galactic resource, as valuable as any technology. The ability to see potential for friendship in the most unlikely beings opened possibilities that other species had never imagined. Storm became Maya's permanent partner in diplomatic missions. The creature presence often calmed hostile beings that refused to interact with other species. Storm intelligence and emotional stability made it an ideal ambassador for predator species throughout the galaxy. The relationship between Maya and Storm evolved beyond simple human and pet to genuine partnership. Storm contributed ideas to research projects and helped design new approaches to interspecies communication. The creature was recognized as a full partner in the Institute, rather than just a subject of study. Years later, Maya stood before the Galactic Assembly with Storm beside her, as they received the highest honors for interspecies cooperation. The Assembly had established new protocols for approaching difficult species, based on human methods of respect and patience, rather than force and intimidation. Storm had grown even larger and more intelligent over the years, but remained completely devoted to Maya and their shared mission. The creature had become the most famous Vorthok in galactic history, and a symbol of the possibility for friendship across species barriers. Maya looked out at the assembled representatives from hundreds of worlds and species. Many of them now had their own human companion specialists working with previously impossible creatures. The galaxy had learned that understanding and empathy could accomplish what weapons and technology could not. The final irony was not lost on anyone present. The most dangerous predator in known space had become the greatest advocate for peace and cooperation. Storm's presence at diplomatic meetings often prevented conflicts that might have led to war. Maya and Storm prepared for their next mission to a newly discovered world where mysterious creatures had driven away 3 previous expeditions. The reports described beings of incredible hostility and apparent intelligence, but Maya was confident they could find a way to communicate as their ship departed. Nexus Prime Station. Maya reflected on how much had changed since that first terrifying encounter in the research lab. The galaxy was larger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined, when friendship was possible between the most unlikely species. Storm made a soft questioning sound, and Maya smiled as she scratched behind the massive creature head. They had work to do and new friends to meet among the stars.